Bettor Sports Betting is your home for picks, props, and futures for tonight's action. Bettor Sports Betting wants to know what picks you're playing tonight. Tell us in the live chat on YouTube, Twitter, and the Bettor Sports Network app. This is Bettor Sports Betting with Fantasy Alarm's Dan Servodidio.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome in here to the Bettor Sports Betting Show on Bettor Sports Network and Fantasy Alarm. Appreciate everyone jumping in here on a Monday afternoon. Got Howard Bender with me. I am Dan Servodidio. If you guys are just joining the Bettor Sports Betting shows, we do this every day here on Bettor Sports Network and Fantasy Alarm. What's up, Howard? Awesome Week 5 slate for you, picks and betting-wise. We'll get to that in a second, but how you doing, man?
I'm doing really well, actually. Yeah, another strong week here on the betting front, which was fantastic. I mean, anytime you're profiting, you just, I've always kind of trained myself to not get overly jazzed up about it because you could lose it just like that. And, I'm always, it's so funny. Like I'm always hesitant to like tout these big weeks and stuff like that because I know that I could just as easily go 1-5 and just shit the bed in the next, in the next week. So I am grateful for my winnings. I am grateful for my read on so many NFL games. I am grateful for anytime touchdown props. And for that, I say happy Monday, Servo. How are you doing?
Well, I'm doing great. Yeah, we'll get to our wins and losses in just a sec here, but I think that the Sunday football games went a little bit better for you than me, so I could be doing better. But as a Philly fan, listen, I got the Phillies today. We'll give out some baseball picks for the NLDS 2 games tonight, so I'm feeling pretty good about the Phillies.
How are you up 1-0 on the Braves right now? I'm just. I know you don't want to get too excited about it either.
I'm not going to get too excited. Obviously we previewed some of these series before they went off. Me and James Grande did that on Thursday's show, and we were both kind of split on the Phillies Braves because we could see it going either way. And maybe I was a little clouded based on like last year, the Phillies getting it done against the Braves, but the Braves are the better, overall offense, clearly. But the Phillies are taking it to them. The playoffs have been really crazy, just some of the results. The Rangers up 2-0 on the Orioles. I think we both were kind of leaning on the Rangers, though, before that series. So we had an eye on that one. But, yeah, we'll give out some baseball picks for these 2 NLDS games a little bit later. Give out some Monday Night Football best bets, player props for the Packers-Raiders game tonight. So definitely stay tuned for that. If you got any picks of your own for any of tonight's games, definitely throw them in the chat here, and we'll get to those as they come in and as we're breaking down these games. Let's start out, though, just a quick recap on what happened yesterday. And on Friday's show, we both gave out a bunch of game picks, player props, touchdown calls. As has become a tradition here on the Bettor Sports Betting Show, you killed it with these NFL picks. You went 3-1 with your game picks. You went 3-1 with your player props. You nailed Rashee Rice anytime touchdown at plus 245 odds. You could see your record there. You only had 2 wrong picks there. But yeah, go through. I mean, some of these wins were right calls, clearly. Some were, a really good fortune, but I personally liked your Dallas Goedert call. That was an easy one. He went well over his 3.5 receptions in that one.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was just lined up in that way. If you look at, Rams defense and their coverage numbers and, how they leave the middle of the field open so much. And when you've got, 2 guys like AJ Brown and Devonta Smith who command so much attention, something's got to give. And so if you're going to float safety help over to try and cover AJ Brown, you're going to end up, getting like some slow, sluggish linebacker trying to cover Dallas Goedert, which just wasn't going to happen. It wasn't in the cards there. So yeah, I was super stoked about that. I mean, listen, I felt very lucky to have won the bet on the Indianapolis Colts with the Anthony Richardson injury.
Yeah.
I mean that. So I take that as
Gardner Minshew.
Yeah, right. Exactly. No, Zach Moss.
Yeah,
Dude,
Zach
forget
Moss. Yeah,
Minshew. It was all
not
Zach
even
Moss.
Jonathan Taylor being much involved.
No, not at all. Not at all. I was right on the Falcons minus the 1.5, and everybody went to 2 for a lot of people. So, like I did the best bets article over at fantasyalarm.com, and I actually had the Falcons minus 2 over there. So I pushed as opposed to the call that I made on Friday, which was I got it at 1.5. And so I was just going to kind of, stick with that. Cardinals Bengals, to me, that was just a kind of a no-brainer. I thought that was just a way mispriced kind of over under for Vegas, just based off of how bad these defenses really are in comparison to what the offensive potential is. Maybe Vegas was hedging because who the hell knows with Joe Burrow, but everything seemed all hunky-dory for him against a garbage Arizona D. Goff and Montgomery for Detroit. It just played into my narrative as to what I thought. Goff did pass a lot better, and that kind of led me to the Panthers not covering the spread like a bunch of nimrods. I mean, again, so that's that. I'll say this: until I see something more out of Bryce Young and the Panthers offense, I can't bet them. Too many stupid mistakes, too many 3 and outs. And that just leaves the defense hung out to dry. I mean, it was just, had there been some sort of offense generated by Carolina, I genuinely think that the defense would have had a little bit more time to like rest and kind of get themselves together. Instead, they couldn't handle it. And so Jared Goff had himself a great game, although he did not go over his passing yard prop by 3 yards. I was saved on that one. I felt really good about that. Monty was, to me, a no-brainer. Rashee Rice, I mean, everything was just kind of lined up. You look at Rashee Rice right now. This was it. This is the last time you're going to get him at this kind of a, solid prop. Dude ran 10 routes, got 5 targets, one of which was for a touchdown. So when he's on the field, clearly he's getting the ball, and they'll dance with that in the red zone. The Bijan Robinson one is the one that hurt the most for me, sir. I'm not going to lie. I feel very emotionally invested in the Atlanta Falcons. I've felt this way for a very long time. They're disappointing me. I know our producer today, Heavy T, diehard Falcons fan. Maybe he wants to pop in here and kind of explain what's going on. But, I mean, why is my guy Bijan only seeing like 14 carries against the Houston Texans? To me, it just made no sense, sir. I don't know what's happening there.
Yeah, listen, Tyler Algier out-carried him in that game. He had 17 compared to Bijan's 14, and neither one was really efficient on the ground. I mean, maybe we give credit to the Texans' defense here, but I think it is more of a Falcons offense issue. I mean, you just think about they probably should have won by more than they needed a field goal late to even win the game. To against the Texans there. Maybe there's the little hangover or whatever coming off the London game. I don't know, Tyler, do you think that? Because I know like the Texans, when I'm looking around at different betting, sites and picks out there, the Texans were like one of those underdogs that people were kind of jumping on because of the, Texans playing good. CJ Stroud looks great, but also the Falcons coming off that London game. I don't know. What's your read on it as a fan?
I think part of it is definitely the London game, like you said, but I think part of it was also disguising the fact that they were going to plan on letting Ritter throw the ball. I can't remember which Texan it was during the week last week, but he basically came out and he said, the running game's great, but Ritter can't throw. And he ended up going for over 300 yesterday. Now, as far as why Algier is getting more of it, who's to say? I'm surprised they still haven't thrown Cordell Patterson in the mix as well. Is he still there?
Arthur Smith, stuff like that. No, don't even put that juju out there, man. I mean, come on. What kind of fan are you?
Personally with them, I just want to win. I've been through too much with this team. But Arthur Smith is going to do what he wants to do. And maybe it's to preserve Bijan in the long run. You don't want to give him 300 touches his rookie year and he falls apart like Todd Gurley towards the end of his career. So I mean, that could be part of it.
I don't mind Tyler Algier being in the mix. I mean, you look at the snap share, and Bijan still has he had a 61% snap share this past week to just 44% for Tyler Algier. I mean, clearly we know Bijan is the lead here, but it just seemed excessive. But if you say that somebody from Houston came out and was like, Ritter can't throw, then Arthur Smith is going to be like, well, if they're not expecting us to throw, that's what we're going to do. And that's kind of where it all ended up. So I just don't understand. Just who cares what they say? You've got this gift of a running back who looks like a lean, mean Derrick Henry machine who can catch a ball against the small of his back and be like, which way am I going? Oh, this way. I mean, you've got that. If I bought you a Ferrari, would you just leave it in the garage and rub it down with a diaper? You take that sucker for a spin.
I might not give it as many carries though, to preserve it. So I get that idea of
super
it.
Passes then.
The comment about the Texans, defense or whoever it was saying that about the Falcons and the offense and Ritter is interesting because moving forward, you might see defenses just stack the box, try to limit whether it's Bijan or Algier, and force Ritter to beat them through the air. I feel like we might see that a lot moving forward.
That's legit what they've been doing every week. And I just, you got to find a way to counter it a little bit. I guess that was what they tried doing here by having Ritter throw, but man, I got to tell you, man. I mean,
I brought this up before we went live on the show, so I'll bring it up now. Just looking at maybe the offense continues to struggle a little bit, but if you look at the Falcons' upcoming schedule, they should have a ton of wins coming because they got Washington at home next week. They get Tampa Bay, Tennessee, Minnesota, Arizona, New Orleans, New York Jets in their next stretch of games. And, it's Tampa Bay, Carolina, Colts, Bears, Saints. That's the rest of their schedule. There's not one huge matchup that they wouldn't be favorites or, 3-point underdogs at most, I feel like the rest of the way.
Yeah, and I found the quote real quick. So this is from Texans DB Jimmy Ward on Thursday. They got wide receivers if they use them. I don't think they're trying to pass the ball. And Ritter goes out and throws for more than 300 yards. So it's interesting to see what they have. And like I said, as a fan, I'm hoping for wins. Been through way too much with this team in my 31 years of life to the point where it's very stressful. So as long as they keep winning, and like we said, the schedule looks easy, just keep it coming, man. That's all I ask.
Yeah. They got the win yesterday, so you'll take that.
Barely. Win's
a win.
Looking at my record here, I've got to own the wins, got to own the losses. Went 2-2 with my game picks, 1-4 with my props. You can see the wins here. I felt really good about the 49ers in that game, and it was good to see them win comfortably over the Cowboys. So I liked that call. Wasn't afraid of the 3.5 spread either. I thought they could win it by, a full touchdown or more, and it was a lot more than that. So I love that one. The Steelers, I threw out a bunch of trends against the spread trends for that matchup, the rivalry matchup. When the Steelers are underdogs, when they're home dogs, when they're underdogs in a matchup against the Ravens, just it all came to fruition. The Ravens, a lot of miscues in that game definitely helped us out there, but I'll take it either way. And then Devon A-Chain over 49.5 rushing yards. He went over that on one of his carries, a long touchdown. So I felt really good about that to get that done early. And it's tough to see him dealing with a knee injury now. So this was a prop that I would be rolling out each week because, just with Mostert in the mix, I feel like his yards would be, lower like it was last week. But we'll see what happens moving forward there. The ones I got wrong, the Jaguars-Bills over. The Bills offense just did not show up. The Jaguars did enough on their part and obviously won the game outright, but the Bills offense really disappointing to have that one be more higher scoring as I thought it might.
It was close. I mean, at the very end there, the Bills did have a potential opportunity
They made it
do it, 'cause
interesting at the end.
I was rooting for it, man. I was like, ooh, the Bills could score. They'd win the game outright. Jags would still cover the spread and the over hits.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, what did they fumble the ball at the tail end there? I can't remember. It all blends together for me now.
They did have a they did have they had an interception, deep interception. Yeah.
Through the pen.
But on that note, Dalton Kincaid did not go over his 3.5 receptions, as I thought he might be more involved. That was not the case. And then, the Titans one, we were split on the Titans-Colts game. You ended up on the right side of that one. When Anthony Richardson went down, I thought it was Titans coming through with the win for sure, but that was not the case. And Derrick Henry on that part did not go over his rushing yards prop, which, Tajay Spears was more involved than I thought he might be. So once I saw him getting carries and, end around carries, that was kind of a bummer. Patrick Mahomes did not go over his 2.5 passing touchdowns, even though, he had two passing touchdowns. But I thought he and the Chiefs would put up a bigger number in that matchup against the Vikings. So missed on that one. And then Devontae Smith was my touchdown call. And he only had one catch in the game. You were right on Dallas Goedert being more the guy, especially, him catching a touchdown in that game, but thought it might be Devontae Smith coming through a little bit better. So, so some wins and losses, but, we learned from it. We flipped the script. We got one more game, though, in week 5 to break down here. So we'll do that now. Monday Night Football, Packers, Raiders. Interesting game. A lot of ways to go here. Here's the matchup here. Love the jacked Jimmy Garoppolo picture and the Jordan Love. The over-under at 45.5. Raiders 2.5-point favorites on the spread. All right, where are you going with this? You have a Best Bets article up live on Fantasy Alarm, so people can check that out for some more thoughts on your picks and bets. Give us a couple here. Where are you going?
Yeah, I mean, I always I got to build a narrative for each game and just kind of figure out how I think it's going to go. And I think it all kind of stems right now down to who's going to be running the football best. Because neither run defense is strong. Packers is super weak. Got to deal with Josh Jacobs now. So that's going to be problematic for them. Aaron Jones is not playing, according to Tom Pelissero from the NFL Network. So you're dealing with A.J. Dillon, who has, been subpar at best, filling in. Like, I mean, even if you have him in like a fantasy league, you're not excited about that. So, I think that automatically it spins the Packers into a little bit more of a pass heavy mode. And the secondary for the Raiders is not good. And so I do think Jordan Love can have some success. However, if you're only rushing 4 and you're not really that worried about them with the ground game because you think your defensive line can really kind of hold up, then you can kind of, you keep guys back in coverage. Maybe, you go in with like an extra DB because that they're going to be throwing a little bit more heavily. I always tend to favor the teams that, can have the potential to jump out to a lead and then run the football and hold that lead and command it. And then, of course, how can you leave out Devontae Adams' revenge game narrative? This is the team that discarded Devontae Adams because they wanted to get younger and they wanted to invest that money not into him, but into another year of Aaron Rodgers. And so I can't imagine that there aren't some sort of, hurt feelings. Devontae was like, get me out of there. So maybe he wants to kind of show him up a little bit. So with all of that, I like Raiders. I don't like the fact. All right. So truth be told, I bet this at Raiders -2. And then when I looked this morning, like that was yesterday. And when I looked this morning, I saw that it was at 2.5. And I was like, oh, balls. Well, I'm glad I got it, in a little early. I'll still take the Raiders minus the 2.5 points. I don't love that. But, obviously enough early money came in on the Raiders that, they ended up having to, to do that. So I like the Raiders minus the 2.5. I like the under for 45.5. I think the Raiders try to control this game as much as possible. And they do that with the ground game, short passes, methodical drives downfield. You don't need to take the big shots until you absolutely have to. So That's where I am game bet wise, taking the Raiders, laying the points, and I'm gonna tilt on the under. I think the under is 5-1 on Monday Night Football games right now for the season. So I might as well just let the trend be my friend and see this maybe 23-20 game sort of thing, 24-21. Dan Carlson with a final drive, 48-yard field goal wins it. I'm in for that.
Yeah, the under has been a trend for all night games this season, and like going back the last few years. So I think tonight, I think the under is probably the best call for going over under. I'm on the Packers though. I guess we're split on this one because fight. Packers 2.5. I just think that this should be a. I just view these teams very similarly. So if I can get an underdog. Either way, I would jump on that. If it was the Packers favorite, I'd probably go the Raiders as the underdogs. But as the Packers on the underdogs, I'm happy with it because they're 3-1 against the spread as underdogs this year. They've been underdogs every single year, and I still just think they're being a little undervalued. I think this should be closer to a pick 'em. Raiders, by the way, I'm not sold on them yet. I need to see them beat a decent team because their only win this year has been against Denver. Which we all know their defense is atrocious. Russell Wilson looks rusty. And I think we can look at that win a little bit differently. But otherwise, they're 1-3 against the spread in their overall this year. And that lone cover was against Denver. 0-3 straight up in their other 3 games too. So I look at this. I know the Aaron Jones injury is notable. The Devontae Adams revenge spot is also a thing to look at. I also look at the Packers having a little extended rest. I think is definitely an advantage for them. They played last Thursday night. Now into Monday, just a long break here. I think that will help them. So I'm on the Packers here. I do think it's gonna be a close game. So I feel like a field goal either way might win the game here. So I see an opportunity to get the points though with the Packers, and I'll take them. By the way. Against the spread trends for Matt LaFleur are very much in his favor here. He is 16-5 against the spread as an underdog with the Packers. That's an 80% clip. 14-4 against the spread, coming off a loss too in his career. So I think I see both of those trends kind of in his favor because I think he's a better overall head coach than McDaniels too.
Yeah, Packers are 3-1 against the spread this season. I mean, it's really kind of funny the way it's like split up. Packers are 3-1 against the spread. Raiders are 1-3 against the spread. The over is 3-1 for Packers games. The under is 3-1 for Raiders games this year. So it's kind of
something's got to give.
You're sitting in that. You're like something definitely has to give in this one here, and that's kind of why I'm just going to stick with the home team. Just in that sense, also, like you said, that game against the Denver Broncos was in Denver.
Yeah.
I know that for a fact because I lost money on it earlier.
I remember.
Okay. So Raiders need a home win here in Vegas, baby. And Monday Night Football is that place to do it. I think that's where I'm at with this. I just think that it's because I mean, listen, we can sit here and give you like the full game breakdown and stuff like that and what our narratives are, but I mean, this is pretty much you're sitting in a spot here where they're 2 very evenly matched teams, I think.
Yeah. You mentioned the Devontae Adams revenge angle. I almost threw out his anytime touchdown as a prop. Didn't ultimately go there because I'm a little scared of that shoulder injury. He comes in questionable. I assume he's going to play, kind of expect it, but his touchdown, if you want to bet on that revenge narrative, I think it's like -110 over on DraftKings. So pretty good odds, pretty decent odds there. If you want to go that way. Speaking of Raiders receivers, we got M. Rojas chiming in on the chat here. He likes Jacoby Myers over 51.5 receiving yards. I could get behind that one too because he's been a favorite guy with Jimmy G. Going back to the years at the Patriots, I think Myers was there at the time, but with the Raiders, for sure, he's been one of the favorite receivers. And if Adams is maybe, his snaps are limited, maybe they just bring him in on obvious passing downs or in the red zone, then Myers could be a guy that eats up targets from Jimmy G. So I like that pick. Any thoughts on Myers?
Yeah, I mean, listen, with the exception of what was it, the last game that they played against the Chargers, where he really wasn't involved. Couldn't believe how like uninvolved he was. But I mean, week 1, week 3, 10 targets, 12 targets there. Yeah, I mean, he's definitely a good Jimmy G lean, and maybe that's exactly why you didn't see him active there against the Chargers, because Jimmy G likes to methodically move the football down the field. I mean, it's like, like Jacoby Myers is, you got to put it in terms of like the Patriots, right? He's the Julian Edelman for Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah.
Like they're all them and Josh McDaniels. They all know that scheme. That's the offense that they run. And I like that a lot. I really do. I got a couple of props that I'm in on.
Yeah. Throw them out
here. So number 1 is Josh Jacobs. I'm taking the over 72.5 rushing yards. Again, Green Bay's run defense is terrible. They're giving up over 150 yards per game on the ground. They've given up 5 rushing touchdowns. Josh McDaniels in this offense, he likes to lead with the power run, and that's what you've got. Now, Jacobs here in week 5, after not having a preseason, is probably at his closest to midseason form right now. So I think that you haven't leaned too heavily on him the first couple of weeks. And like you said, maybe Green Bay's got the more rest or whatever. Maybe you just lean on Josh Jacobs a little bit more there. So over 72.5 rushing yards for him. I like that.
On that note, real quick, I'm also on his rushing yards prop, so I'll double down on that one. And I noticed you got it at 72.5. I got it at 73.5. I'm looking at DraftKings; it's up at 74.5. So it is going up a little bit as the day's going on. So we're both on this one. And just to add on to your breakdown there, the Packers' rush defense, one of the worst in the league right now so far. 155.3 rushing yards allowed per game. That's second worst in the league. And you look at kind of their matchups, the two, workhorse lead backs. I mean, I guess like Bijan Robinson, as we were talking about, isn't a workhorse, but him and David Montgomery, when they've played the Packers, have both run for 220 plus yards in this matchup. So that's 2 of 4 that have gone over this prop. And the 2 unders were against the Saints and Bears. And the Saints were without Kamara and Jamal Williams in that game. Their offense looked putrid. It was a game Derek Carr got hurt, and kind of their offense did not do well overall when he went down. And then the Bears game, they split carries between like 4 guys, including Justin Fields running a decent amount and throwing more in that game while trailing. So I'm looking at this spot. I love your Jacobs call. I'm also good jumping on the rushing yards, because he's also going to he's getting the lion's share of carries in this backfield. Zamir White's barely being used as a rusher.
Yeah, also out for Green Bay tonight is Devondre Campbell, their middle linebacker. He's one of their chief run stoppers. So that's why I'm like, okay, I'm locking in on Jacobs, as well. I'm going to piggyback something off of Andrew Cooper from Fantasy Alarm. He did this last week with Campbell out, and he turned to Quay Walker, linebacker over there. Over 8.5 tackles plus assists. It's minus 130 on DK. This is like, I mean, yeah, you can bet it on its own for the minus 130, but this is one where it's like, okay, you know what? If you want to throw something into a parlay, this is a good spot, because it's the tackles and assists, right? And like his solo tackles prop, I think, was like 5.5. So the fact that the assists, knowing that Devondre Campbell is out, and how heavily that they could run the football, I'm thinking Quay Walker is definitely a prop that I want to tackle here as well.
Yeah, I like that call a lot. I forget which game it was. I think it was the Steelers 2 weeks ago. I'm just looking back through box scores. And that was a matchup where I targeted, their middle linebackers, tackles plus assists, because if they're going to feed Jacobs this much and give him as many carries, someone's got to, gobble up those tackles.
He's going to bring him down.
Right? Unless he's just running free the whole game, but I don't think that's going to happen. So, yeah, good call on the Quay Walker tackles and assist prop. I'll throw out another pick here. Going to the Packers offensive side of things, I like Jordan Love's pass completions, over 20.5. looked at his passing yards, but I just think the completions is maybe a safer bet. 20.5 is the line, -105 on BetMGM. So Aaron Jones is out, as you were mentioning, or likely expected out, reportedly. The running game, though, whether it's been Dillon there, you mentioned earlier, been very slow looking, not, only averaging like less than 3 yards per carry overall, or the Packers with Dillon or Aaron Jones. And I feel like Matt LaFleur is starting to realize, like, all right, if we want to move the ball effectively, consistently, we're going to need Love to, whether it's throwing for the easier completions, but either way, just giving Jordan Love more responsibility as a passer in this offense. And we've seen it the last 2 games. He's thrown for 35 and 44 times, been over this completion prop in both games too. And I just feel like it's going to be a lot more, check downs, a lot more shorter yardage completions. And if your narrative that the Raiders might be, leading on the run, if the Packers are trailing, I think this plays into Jordan Love just having more attempts and more completions overall. So I'm on the over on his pass completions.
Nice, very nice. Listen, it fits my narrative very well on my other 2 props too, and it fits the narrative of Smokey the Cat. Smokey's in the chat room.
Yeah, he's got a pick.
Smokey's winning parlays. Smokey's got what we're talking about here. Jacobs a touchdown. Romeo Doubs over 3.5 receptions. Raiders plus 5.5. Smokey, I love it. I absolutely love it. Because I'm in on Romeo Doubs over 46.5 receiving yards. I think the over 3.5 receptions is perfect for him. He is the chain mover in this offense. I splashed in a Christian Watson anytime touchdown. I don't know if you saw the start of the show here, Smokey, but we're definitely both in on Josh Jacobs. So the anytime touchdown, hell yeah. We like his yardage here as well. Dobbs on the receiving yards. Boom, boom. Smokey! I love it, baby. I love it. Thank you.
And when you're doing same game parlays like this, I love picking the favorite, which in this instance is the Raiders. And I love picking them as the alt line underdog, what you have here with the plus 5.5, because we were both saying this is kind of a coin flip game, and like a field goal could win it on either side. So if you're getting the 5.5, I like that. Smokey got another parlay, same game parlay. Love it.
Damn, Smokey, I'm waiting for you to send me my plane ticket so that I can come visit you on the yacht in the south of France, wherever you're sailing these days.
He's got Romeo Doubs in there just like you. So I think you're liking it.
I'd love it, dude. I love it. I want to party with Smokey. Smokey, I don't know where you live. I'm out here on the West Coast. I'm in the Bay Area. If you're anywhere near me, I feel like we need to hang out.
There you go.
Just saying. Oh, he's probably not even in California. Why? Because he can't bet unless he's like me and he's got a guy.
Oh, he's in San Diego, he says.
Oh, shit, Smokey. Damn. See, this is what I need to do. You know what I need to do? I'm going to tell you flat out. This is the plan. I need to find a way to get myself on as a contestant at Wheel of Fortune.
Mm-hmm.
So I go down to Southern California, win a boatload of money on Wheel of Fortune, answer some prizes, spin the wheel, and then go and party with Smokey in San Diego. Perhaps we take in a football game on a Sunday. I know we got to go to LA for it.
I was going to say in San Diego.
I know we got to go to LA for it, but whatever.
Oh man. Well, maybe it's during baseball season. Go hit up a Padres game,
Dude, we got to party now. I got to party with Smokey right now. See, there it is. Smokey's in on this.
Smokey, love it.
Smokey's in on this. Definitely. We're gonna figure out how to make this happen. Smokey, email me, howard@fantasyalarm.com. Just we'll talk. You want to bet some baseball, Servo?
Let's do it. Yeah, I brought the Padres, got my baseball juices flowing a little bit. So yeah, we got 2 NLDS game 2s coming up tonight. The Phillies and the Braves are at about 6:07 p.m. Eastern time. Here's the odds for the Phillies Braves game. Braves are favored here, minus 162 on the money line, plus 136 on the money line for the Phillies. Let's start with this game, and then we'll go to the Dodgers Diamondbacks. What are any bets, props you got for this Phillies Braves game?
For the Phillies Braves game, I'm trying to keep it very, very simple because again, I had money on the Braves going the whole way anyway. So I need for that to happen. I don't need to invest any more in it. But because you wanted to pick some stuff here, I went with a very, very simple prop. Nick Castellanos. You know how much I love Nick Castellanos. Give me over 1.5 hits plus runs plus RBI. It's minus 105 on DK. It's against Max Fried. He's got great numbers. He's got like a 267 isolated power mark, like a 390 something OBP against left-handed pitching. He just hits lefties very, very well. Puts the ball in play a lot. So I feel like I can take advantage on that one. And then you can't root against it because I picked a Philly.
I'm not going to root against it at all.
That's what I'm saying. I'm just keeping all my bases covered.
And that could happen if you're rooting for the Braves to win. That prop could still cash either way. I'm on. And by the way, I like the Castellanos pick because it's a right-handed bat, and him, Alec Boehm, Trey Turner, all righties. Those props against a lefty starter are definitely the way to go. I think if you're looking at props for the Phillies bats tonight. I'm on Zach Wheeler, though, on the pitching side of things. I love his 15.5 outs. Get the over on that. Minus 110 on BetMGM. I think it's been raising up. I see 16.5 in some spots, but the 15.5 is what I got and are locked in. So last start, the Phillies, they had Ranger Suarez only go 3 2/3 innings. Rob Thompson was very conservative, brought in a bunch of relievers and it's to play, matchups, lefties on lefties, the rest of the way. But in this game, I think he's going to want Zach Wheeler to go deep and go strong if he can, because, it's what he did in the wild card start against the Marlins. He went 6 2/3, allowed only 1 run in that. He's been looking strong. Between that start and last year, the Phillies playoff run, Wheeler has been very good in the postseason. 2.55 ERA between all these starts. I mentioned just him looking to have, go a little deep and save, some bullpen arms if possible. And I think having the Phillies up 1-0 in the series helps with that, because even if he allows a couple runs early, I don't think Thompson is going to have a quick trigger on Wheeler and pull him early, like we saw with Kershaw with the Dodgers in that first game. But I think, looking at Wheeler, by the way, I mean, going over 15.5 outs is not a hard thing for him to do. He's been over this in 13 of his last 14 starts to end the regular season, minus the last game of the regular season where his pitch count was limited to prep for the playoffs. But 13 of his previous 14 starts were over. I mentioned he went over this in the wild card start against the Marlins. So I think they're going to look for him to go 6+ innings here. And he's had 2 starts against Atlanta this year, through 8 shutout innings back in May against them, and then 6 innings of 1-run ball against them just a few weeks ago. So he's got that experience of limiting this lineup too, dangerous lineup. But either way, I think he's going over this outs prop.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm a big Zach Wheeler fan. He can turn in 6-7 innings without batting an eye. So I think that you're onto it there. Yeah. So unfortunately, he's going to give up 72 runs while he does it, because
at least if he gets the 6 innings in, I'm fine.
Go Braves.
Take it back.
He goes 5 2/3 with 9 earned runs.
Oh, yikes. If he's got up 9 earned runs, maybe he gets the quick trigger then.
Everyone's like, why are they letting him pitch? Well, because, listen, you let him take his lumps because it's only game 2.
Well, that's what I was saying. They're up 1-0 in the series. I think that's huge. Yeah.
Let him take his lumps. Go Braves.
All right. Diamondbacks Dodgers game 2 tonight. Rough first inning and first game for the Dodgers. Kershaw didn't even get recorded an out in the first inning before he got pulled. But you can see here the Dodgers are favored to win tonight, minus 156 on the money line. Diamondbacks are at plus 132. Any picks you got for this game?
Yeah, you know what? It's really kind of funny considering that you've got the Dodgers who are as favored as they are, right, on the money line, and it's Bobby Miller against Zach Gallen. Something tells me that Vegas doesn't think Gallen's got his stuff tonight or, whatever, but because, Bobby Miller is not like, hey, I'm going to be lights out, shut you down every single time. So give me the over 8 runs, which I don't think a lot of people are on because you see Zach Gallen's name in there and you're like, boom, he's going to, potentially hold the lineup down. I think that with the Dodgers that much of a favorite on the money line, it just smells fishy. So I'll just take the over 8 runs and feel actually really good about that.
Yeah, that is definitely, I feel like, a contrarian pick for this game. But I'm with you. I think the fact that the Dodgers are favored here tells us something that I think their offense is going to get to Zach Gallen. So I'm with you on that side of things. I'm going the first 5 innings, though, for the Dodgers. I think that the Dodgers offense, elite this whole season against right-handed pitching, especially over the past month. Gallen has faced the Dodgers twice this season, struggled both times too. So I think that is also playing in here. Gave up 6 runs and 4 home runs when he last faced them, which was at the end of August. So that's fairly recent. The Dodgers know they can get to Gallen. And I think Bobby Miller is going to post a strong start here. They need a strong start from him after what Kershaw did in game 1. And they had to go to the bullpen a lot earlier than they wanted or expected to. But Bobby Miller, he's got a 3.19 ERA in the month of September to wrap up the regular season and only had 1 bad start in those 6 outings. And Diamondbacks, I know they posted a big number. Their offense has been there in the postseason so far, but they were a below average offense against right-handed pitching over the last month of the regular season. So I think Miller can limit them here. So give me the first 5 innings on the run line there to just have the lead after the first 5.
I hope you get it. En route to a 11 to 8 game.
Listen, maybe the Dodgers are due for a huge first inning after what the Diamondbacks just did. I think they'll be hungry. I feel like Betts, Freeman, they'll be hungry to post a big number too and just take the series, home field back here tonight. So, all right. So that's tonight's Diamondbacks, Dodgers, Phillies, Braves should be both some really good games as you're watching Monday Night Football. Definitely will be good to have 2 screens up as you're watching these games. We'll see how we're both split on this Raiders Packers game, but we'll see who comes out ahead after tonight's game. But I
don't know. I feel like I got Smokey on my side here. I feel like I got Smokey on my side. So you better
power
watch
of Smokey.
It is, right? Absolutely. I love it. I'm ready.
All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in here. Good luck with all your own bets and picks tonight. Bronson Heyo chiming in about fantasy trade questions. Hit us up in the Discord chat to get your fantasy questions in there.
Or tweet at me at RotoBuzzGuy right there.
There you go. We'll be back tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern. By the way, coming up after us, the Fantasy Alarm Game Day preview show with John Pemba and Andrew Cooper on Fantasy Alarm. That's at 7 p.m. Eastern. And High Stakes Fantasy Football Show at 7 p.m. Eastern over on Bettor Sports Network. All right, everyone. Good luck, and we'll catch you guys tomorrow.